I don't know if you remember, Cheryl, but like, I don't know, it was 3 videos ago, you asked me to teach you how to make the Kahuku style garlic shrimp truck shrimp. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yes, and I want to learn, still want to learn that.
So we're gonna do that today here. Okay?
Great.
And I went as usual and I did my research and I ate shrimp like you wouldn't believe. And I think I've come up with my version that replicates that. The difference is, of course, the shrimp are not from Kahuku. But we're gonna be using jumbo U15 shrimps that are sort of similar to like the ones that you get in Kahuku. Okay?
What's a U15 shrimp?
Well, a U15, the number U15 stands for the size. So U15 means they're under 15 shrimp per pound. Does that make sense?
I see. Yeah.
So like if I buy 2125s, it's 21 to 25 per pound. 1620, which you see a lot in stores, is 1620 shrimp per pound.
So the smaller the number, the bigger the shrimp.
Correct. So these shrimp, what we've done is we've taken them with the shell, they're split down the back, and we've taken the vein out, but we're gonna leave the shell on. And the reason we're gonna leave the shell on is when we go ahead and cook them, it's gonna give you a more moist shrimp, and the flavor will stay in the shell. And one of the kind of things I like to do is I eat the shell.
Ooh, I like to eat the shell too.
What, you do?
And the tail.
You're like the first person. The two of us are the only people in the world. So that's the shrimp. Now I'm gonna do a seasoned flour that we're gonna do. I have flour, I'm adding salt, and I'm adding cayenne pepper. And I wanna stir this up. Now we're gonna use this to lightly coat the shrimp, but we don't want to we're not making a batter. We're not making, a tempura or anything, but we're just doing this because I want the shrimp to not stick to the pan. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna help me. You're gonna do the shrimp, but you wanna really just get a very light dusting on there of the shrimp, okay? So you can do that. While you're doing that, I have butter that's gonna go in the pan here. And I want the butter to melt and it'll start to foam. I don't want the pan to be so hot that it's searing and really, really sizzling too fast, because what will happen is the milk solids will start to burn. So the butter is melting here. I've turned the heat up a little bit and it'll eventually start to foam. And that's what I'm looking for.
So you have that on a low?
Medium high, yeah. I've turned the heat up a little bit. And as you can see here, when you're looking at this, you're starting to see the bubble and sizzle, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, that looks good. See, now here's a good example here. This is what I'm looking for, and this has too much flour.
Oops.
See that?
Oops.
So you really need to pack it and just try to get all that, as much of it off, because if it's too much, you're gonna end up with a coating. You're gonna end up with a crust on here, and we don't want a crust. So just get that flour off. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the shrimp in. You're beating the shrimp. Yeah. You're beating the flavor in the shrimp. But you see what I'm peeling off? See how I'm peeling that stuff off? That's too much, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get the shrimp in here in a single layer. And Cheryl's getting a practice here on how to be a prep cook, because she's gonna have to pick up the pace here, because I'm waiting for her now.
Okay.
So. Now I'm putting the shrimp in a single layer. And what's important is I'm not really doing anything except letting the shrimp cook in the pan. And that's one of the things I want to make sure that you do when you're doing this at home, is you're just going to let the shrimp cook. I'm making sure that I'm getting that sizzling sound, but I'm not shaking the pan. I'm not tossing the pan. And that's one of the things I think people tend to think is, I think cooking means I have to be doing something. And over time, you should learn that sometimes when cooking happens, you're letting the heat, you're letting the pan, and you're letting the fat do all the work. And that's what we're doing here.
How do you know when it's time to turn it over?
That's a good question, too. What we're going to do is I'm going to cook these for about 3 minutes on one side. And what I'm looking for is a light golden color on the shrimp. And the way that I want to know is I'm going to take a piece and I'm going to pick it up and look at it. So what's important is, and I'm glad you asked that, because one of the things I think people are always trying to figure out is, how do I know? How do I know, right? Mm-hmm. And cooking, a lot of cooking is using your senses. So you know by smell, you know by touch, you know by taste.
By sight.
By sight and by hearing. So I'm seeing that these are getting golden. I'm seeing the bubbling happen. You can smell the toastiness of the shrimp, right? So that's really where cooking comes into play.
Okay.
Now I am going to move it a little bit because I'm noticing that the pan is hotter on one side. So I'm going to move it just a little bit because I want the shrimp that were here to be on this side so they can get some even cooking. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check. And they can go a little bit more. They're nice and, they're getting nice and color on here, but I want to really try to get a good crisp coating on them.
Because you don't want to overcook it and it's going to be rubbery.
Right, exactly. So at this point, I think they're looking pretty good, and I'm going to want to flip them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the garlic. And the recipe calls for 10 cloves of garlic.
And why didn't you put the garlic in first with the butter?
The reason I did that is because I didn't want the garlic to burn. I don't. There's some recipes that call for garlic in the beginning, and the funny thing is, it always burns the garlic. So garlic should really go in somewhere in the cooking process where it will add flavor. The oils will come out, but it won't burn. So now I'm turning the shrimp over.
Ooh, that looks good. Smells good, and the color is.
See, you're seeing the color here, right? And some of the shrimp, I'm going to turn the heat down because there's some of the garlic is starting to cook faster. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let the shrimp cook here for another probably about 3 minutes till they're cooked through. And again, I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting the pan do its thing.
Okay.
After they're done, we're going to go ahead and take them out of the pan, and we're going to serve them up shrimp truck style. It would be 2 scoops of rice, a lemon, and that's it. So we'll let these finish. They're pretty close, and when we come back, we get to eat.
Yum. And right in the comfort of our own home.
Yeah, so you don't have to drive as far. So we'll be back. All right, so here's our done shrimp. And we're going to go for the plating.
Ooh.
So I forget, I don't know, maybe it's 6 or 8 shrimp that you get on a plate when you're at the shrimp truck place. But since we're doing it for ourselves, I thought we could give a few extra.
Yeah.
And give ourselves some of that value. And I don't know, but do you like garlic?
Yes.
Okay, I want to take some of this toasty garlic butter. We'll put some of it on top of there. We'll put that on. You put lemon already, right?
Yes, I did.
How does it smell?
It smells great.
Here we go. So we have, what are we going to call this? Kahuku style, Kahuku shrimp, garlic truck sort of happiness here.
For this great recipe and more,
visit us at foodland.com. This is mine.
Wow.
Garlic.